Salutations everyone, ShadowTaurus here, and I'm back with another exciting video for y'all today. In today's video, we'll be embarking on an epic journey where we pit the 7 deadly sins from the beloved manga series against the formidable Freeza force during the Namek and Freeza saga. But before we dive into the thrilling matchup, I want to kindly request your support. Show your enthusiasm by smashing a like button, sharing your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribing to my channel. And of course, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you stay up to date on what I upload. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon where you can help my channel thrive and score some fantastic rewards in the process. Now, I can already hear some of y'all complaining about another 7 Deadly Sins video. And while no, you're not wrong, trust me, I had some fresh unique angles for this one. Rest assured that after today's video, we'll be exploring other power scaling ventures. Now let's set the stage for today's showdown. We'll be taking the 7 Deadly Sins at the pinnacle of their power. Think Demon King Meliodas, the ultimate Escanor, and Post-Purgatory Bond. As for the Freeza Force, we'll be examining their capabilities during the Namek saga. This will feature Freeza, Zarbon, Dory, the Ginyu Force, and a rough estimate of Freeza forces at the time. Now, how will this fight go down? Well, they'll be split up into two parts. The battles will be in a similar vein to Revival of F, so that means the first the Sins will fight the Freeza Force except for Freeza himself, and then we'll ask how they will actually do against Freeza. Just to make it fair, Freeza will also be starting in his final form. But without further ado, let's kick this off with what I do best, scaling the Dragon Ball universe. Now, before we get into Frieza's actual scaling, let's first scale his army. Now, we aren't given almost any information on Frieza's actual forces, but what we are given is during the time of Resurrection F, he was able to gather up around 1,000 soldiers. And this is during a time where his forces were significantly diminished, as Frieza only held 448 planets at this time. This should mean that during the time of the Namek saga, Frieza should be able to bring several thousand, if not tens of thousands of soldiers to the fight with the Sins. But then, how strong are these soldiers? Well, the average soldier in Frieza Force should have a power level about 1,500. This would be higher than Piccolo when he destroyed the moon in Dragon Ball Z, and calcs for this feat have been put at large planetary level, though if you only want to say it's moon level, that's also fine. Frieza's higher-ups like Zarbon, Dodoria, and even the Ginyu Force should simply scale above from them by many times, even than the weaker grunts. And some of you might go, oh wait, these grunts can't be planetary level. The guidebook states that you need a power level of 10,000 to destroy a planet. That is just very wrong, as the scan people are referring to is the El Legendario manga scan, which states, if a power level of 10,000 can destroy a planet, it's inconceivable what Frieza can do at a power level exceeding 1 million. Now, this does not mean that a power level of 10,000 is the bare minimum you need. It just means that people who have that power level can destroy planets. So saying Freeza Force grunts scale to planetary is not outlandish. So the Ginyu Force should scale anywhere near from multi-planetary to potentially small star. But then, where does this Frieza actually scale? Now, when it comes to Frieza's strength, we can actually use his first form Death Ball feat where he's able to destroy planet Vegeta. Now, this feat has been calced to Dwarf Star level, but there are some calcs that would put it at Solar System level. But personally, I don't buy this, mainly on the fact that we have stronger characters who have that same level of showing, so it's a little weird. But because this should scale to Dwarf Star level, Frieza himself should scale to Large Star based on how power level. If you simply multiply the output of the calc, which is 4.895 tenatons, by the difference in power level between first form and final form, that would be around a 226 times difference. You get 1.106 foes, and that is Large Star level. Now, a lot of people like to say this is a casual feat, however, that doesn't check out as he used a Supernova, which is a named attack. Why would he waste his time expending energy to use a Supernova when he could have just sent a random ass Ki Blast? That would have been a casual feat, but using a named attack to destroy a planet would not constitute a casual feat. So Frieza's strength is pretty impressive, but then where does the Sins scale? Now, when it comes to the Sins, I will only be briefly covering Meliodas as I've already scaled him twice already, so I'll mainly be focusing on the other Sins in this video. So let's quickly get Meliodas out of the way. Meliodas in base was able to easily beat up Demon King possessed Zeldris, and when Demon King regained his former power, Meliodas was able to go toe-to-toe with him in his third stage demon mode. As well, Assault Mode Meliodas and True Magic Meliodas should blatantly scale above this, but then where do the other Sins scale? Well, Bond and Escanor blatantly have feats being able to tag and hurt the Demon King. Bond, while unarmed, was able to fight Demon King possessed Meliodas. He was also able to tag Prime Demon King multiple times when he had a Sacred Treasure. Escanor was also able to land multiple hits, and another very interesting feat is he able to block the Demon King's slashes with just his fingers and not take any damage. Now, you can easily argue the Demon King was not giving it his all here, as Escanor did end up receiving damage later on from the Demon King, but this still shows that he should probably be the second strongest Sin other than Bond, with being a close third. However, where do the other Sins account for? Now, next up we have King and Diane. Now, King was able to block multiple attacks from the Demon King. This should mean he should scale at least relative to the top 3 of the Sins, though probably not as strong as them. And Diane is not so much on their level, as she wasn't able to do damage to the Demon King with her attacks, but she was able to at least move him, so this would put her at least in the lower end star level. Merlin was able to leave scuffs on the Demon King, which means she may have done very minor damage, and Gother, well, he doesn't have any AP feats, mostly just hacks abilities, so he probably won't be a major factor in this fight. Though you could argue he could do some mind hacks, that's about it. But then how do these two sides stack up in terms of speed? Now when it comes to speed in Dragon Ball, it's all fairly consistent. In Z, Piccolo is able to destroy the moon. Now, the speed calc for this feat is roughly 121,904,761.9 meters a second, or relativistic speed, which is about 10 to 50% the speed of light. Now, based on simple math, light should still be 2.4 times faster. Well, why do I bring this up? Well, Piccolo's power level by that time was 408, and by the time of the late Saiyan saga, he was stated to have power level of 3,500. That's a roughly 8.6 times increase. Now we know speed should increase at a similar rate of your power, so if we simply multiply it, we would get 1,048,406,752.34 meters per second, which is 3.4 times the speed of light. Now if we take Frieza's full power and divide it by Piccolo's power at that time, Freeza would be 34,255 times faster than Piccolo was at that time. That would clock in at about 35,944,625,503,976 meters per second. This would roughly put Freeza about 119,898 times the speed of light, or MFTL plus. Now that's some insane speed scaling for Final Form Freeza. Now on average, Frieza's men should scale way below this, with members of the Ginyu Force for instance reaching FTL+. Let's take Ginyu. Ginyu's power level is roughly 34 times Piccolo's power level during the Saiyan saga, meaning his speed should roughly be 115 times the speed of light, putting Ginyu in the lower end of MFTL. And members of the Ginyu Force should be higher end FTL, and for this early in the series, that's actually rather impressive. Now there are some light speed arguments for all the way back in Dragon Ball, but we'll get to those in another video. But then where do the Sins scale in terms of speed? Now when it comes to 7 Deadly Sins scaling, there's a lot to unpack. So let's start with first a general scale, then go over the stronger members of the Sins. Now on average, each member of the Sins scales comfortably above lower tier characters who can fight and react to the arc magic of the Goddess Clan, which is stated to be light multiple times. And we know speed and power increase at roughly the same rate in 7 Deadly Sins, as when your power stack goes up, both your speed and strength go up. So let's say if person A is stronger than person B, then person A should also be faster than person B. Now each of the Sins were able to combat and react to the Prime Demon King, who is even stronger than the old man Demon King who one-shotted Meliodas during his time as the leader of the 10 Commandments. This is very impressive, as Meliodas was able to defeat Mael, the strongest of the Archangels, and by extension should also be the fastest, which would put him even above Ludociel. Ludociel was able to move so fast it appeared like he was teleporting. Now while this is not an infinite speed feat, it should be for the higher tiers, put them in the MFTL category, arguably the MFTL plus category, which is pretty insane for the 7 Deadly Sins series. As for people like Escanor and Bon, they consistently are able to tag the Demon King, so they should scale above the rest of the Sins excluding Meliodas. And now that we have the Sins figured out when it comes to speed, how would an actual fight between the Freeza Force and the 7 Deadly Sins go down? Now when it comes to the Freeza Force versus the Sins, it's actually rather interesting. So firstly, the Sins should handily mop up the actual Freeza Force. This is mainly due to Bon and his Sacred Treasure, which would be extremely helpful in clearing out the Freeza Force. As for speed and strength when it comes to the Freeza Force, while the higher tiers like Ginyu might be able to keep up with lower end interpretations of the Sins, if they get serious, I do not believe the Freeza Force is going to be doing much against them. So Sins versus the Freeza Force is a wash, but then how does Frieza actually do? Now here's where the Sins run into some issues, as Frieza himself is most definitely faster than the Sins at his full power. So then is it a blitz and he one-shots them? Well, not exactly. You see, Frieza's full power form has a time limit as he weakens the longer he fights in it. So while at max power, he can scale above the Sins in terms of speed and relative in terms of strength, his power will only continue to decrease as the fight goes on. And there's one more problem he faces, that being Bon. As I said, this would take the Sins at their fullest. So that would include Bon when he was immortal, which means Frieza could just not kill him. That means while yes, he can kill the other Sins, Bon is just going to keep coming back, and with him being similar in strength to Frieza, and Frieza only getting more tired as the fight goes on, he'll probably kill Frieza. That's just my opinion. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and until we meet again, good luck in your power scaling endeavors.